Clara Marcus was a 30-year-old Auschwitz prisoner in 1944 when she was forced to strip naked and march into the gas chamber. Only there was no more gas left. God was watching over me that day. Edith Egger had never even heard of Auschwitz when, on a chilly April morning in 1944, soldiers came and transported her family to the camp. Ruscha Glosser would pose for photos with Nazi soldiers in occupied Holland. The defiant spirit that helped her survive Auschwitz is captured in a new film. Monday marked 78 years since the start of the 1943 Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, when Jews waged a 27-day revolt against the Nazis. Montreal-born author Judy Battalion writes about the often forgotten stories of Jewish women who fought in the uprising in her new book, The Light of Days, the untold story of women resistance fighters in Hitler's ghettos. I love my Jewish heritage. Sure, I appreciate that I get to stuff my face with challah bread during every holiday, but there are plenty of other reasons I love being a member of the tribe. After all, so many of the cool people I look up to are. Mary Vincent's story transcends personal triumph. It extends to a larger mission of advocacy and empowerment. While she may have chosen to live away from the public eye, her voice reverberates loudly as she stands up for victims' rights. The home of the Lancelin family in Le Mans, France, became the scene of a savage double murder by the quiet housemaid duo, the Poppin sisters. Watched an episode of Snapped, focused on the one and only Betty Broderick. If you missed the show, you can watch it on Peacock. On November 5, 1989, Daniel Broderick and his new wife, Linda Kolkina, were gunned down in their home by Betty Broderick. Betty was given a 32-year sentence for the murder, but that's not the whole story. The devastating events that led up to the double murder include years of abuse, psychological torture, and a custody trial that finally triggered Betty to go on a homicidal rampage. Read more about Betty on RK. Dan Broderick disinherited his daughter. She tried to hide against the wall of the top bunk where she was sleeping, but as Sells went to leave the room, he turned around and spotted her. Sells reached over, grabbed Crystal, and slit her the thought. Humans have always had this morbid fascination with death and the dead. Thus, they've always deemed to preserve their dead all through different ages and thousands of years. But what if the preservate? There are many theories surrounding the death of the truly iconic Marilyn Monroe. But what really happened to Marilyn on that fateful night of August 4th, 19? Sammy Davis Jr. was subjected to racial injustice all his life. When he was in the infantry, he was beaten and had the N-word scrawled across his chest in white paint. But when Frank Sinatra tried to persuade Sammy not to marry actress Mae Britt until after the 1960 election because of racial backlash against his other close pal JFK, it broke Sammy's heart. Conjoined twins, Daisy and Violet Hilton, were born in the early 1900s in England. Referred to as Siamese twins, the Hilt sisters were connected at the conjoined twin Abby Hensel, who gained notoriety alongside sister Brittany in 1996 when the pair appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show, got married to Josh Bowling, a nurse and United States Army veteran, in 2021, according to public records obtained by Today. A little over 9 months ago, twin sisters Jalynn April Crawford and Janelle Ann Leopoldo's greatest dream came true. They found out they were both pregnant with baby boys. When I got the text, my face lit up. Jalynn, 30, tells People about the moment she found out her sister was expecting. Jalynn had just found out she was pregnant just 4 days before. I got chills in my arm, and then seconds later she called, and we were both like, thank you, God. It's making me tear up, right? It is very rare you come across a killer that you kind of feel sorry for, that you can somehow understand how she got to that point, not to condone what she did, of course. Betty Broderick, poor. Ed Vulliamy talks to Anka Bergman, 96, her daughter, Eva Clark, who was born in a Nazi camp, and other survivors about life in Terezin, the camp where a wealth of imprisoned Czech musical talent suffered and played. They was just cheap callin'. Lightweight nylon material, no lining, mine was black, with red red stripe on the collar, cuffs and waistband. We all like to see glimpses into forgotten periods of history, and to imagine for ourselves what it may have been like during certain golden eras of time. Thanks to the magic of photography, we still have images and snapshots of some of the most iconic moments of the past. And through history lessons and memories, there's always so much for us to learn. But once in a while you see a photo from the past that can truly shock and surprise you, as it just doesn't make sense in today's world. Let's take a look at some of the most amazing photos from the past that you would never see today. The fashion of the 1930s is usually overshadowed by the Great Depression, but the New Yorkers in the 1930s were full of glamour and style. See our gallery. In the 1970s, baby boomer libidos were at full tilt, coinciding perfectly with the pill, loosened inhibitions, and the sexual revolution, a perfect storm of wild, STD-ridden, loveless sex. And behind every sweaty fornicating encounter, there was likely a bottle of booze to blame. In this article, we celebrate the starting point to 70s-80s style debauchery with 19 vintage photographs of people getting their drunk on. Bottoms up? Kodachrome film introduced the world to color images. While not the first color film, previous color photographic processes saw limited use due to cumbersome and time-consuming manufacturing, use, and development. Released in 1935, Kodachrome film was manufactured for 74 years, with the last, remember the beach beauty contests of the 60s and 70s? Mangawhai Heads bathing beauty contest, circa 1960. When was New Zealand's first beauty contest? Read more on link. Every old photo has a story to tell. Read more. Click photo to read more or enlarge. Mad on New Zealand. Memories start here. 1,000s of New Zealand photos to view for free. A New Zealand website for New Zealand content. Costume design, Alexandra Alex Caulfield Film and TV Northwest, Liverpool, Lancashire, Manchester, Leeds, London, UK, England, United Kingdom, British, Amanda McAllister, Personal Management, Costume Designer. The room, unearthed at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello estate in Charlottesville, Virginia, went unnoticed for decades. It didn't have any windows and was next to Jefferson's room. In a day and age of unattainable standards of beauty, it's a breath of fresh air to take a look back at the Hollywood legend in all her glory. Michigan woman was arrested after chatting with a detective online and expressing interest in sex with pair.